Welcome to Amra's Armchair Anecdotes. I'm Amra Pajalich, writer, teacher and storyteller. Pull up a chair and let's dive into stories about writing, life and lessons learned, sharing wisdom from my armchair to yours. You can find the episode show notes, your free episode handouts and my how-to guides at amrapajalich.com/podcast. And now it's time to dive in. Welcome to Amra's Armchair Anecdotes. Today I'm here with Veronica Ho, who is my best friend of 30 years. She was a nurse for 20 years and she now works as a case manager in supporting NDIS clients, specialising in disability. Today she's here to talk about her transition into weightlifting as a way of finding well-being and joy. Thank you, Veronica.
Thank you, Amra.
So, I just wanted to sort of start with the great passion of your life is weightlifting, and this has led you on a journey of transformation. So, can you tell the audience about you as a teenager and your body image at the time?
So, as a teenager, I was always the chubby one. Not a lot of confidence at all. I was always the person walking with their head down, not kind of the person. I perceived myself to be as a person that was lost in the crowd, in the back corner. I wasn't confident in speaking to people. So it's taken to me being almost 50 to build that confidence, to keep my head up high and to put myself in situations where I have to take a deep breath and be a big girl and go and have conversations with people that I wouldn't normally have. But I was always that person in the background, wearing black all the time. So I just fade into the background.
Yeah, and you also kind of attracted people to you because you were so silent and so kind of reserved, but you were quite welcoming still, and people would really approach you and tell you things. And one of the things I remember is that you were so self-possessed as a teenager, where you were one of the rare people who knew how to keep people's privacy. So you kind of became the confidant for a lot of people and carried a lot of weight there.
I did, and I still find that today. I guess that just comes from having my own issues and my own, as Amra knows, my own, I'm going to say demons. And I know how important it is to keep that secret, I guess.
Yeah, and to sort of help support people in that way.
Correct, and to understand how important it is to other people to have a safe space.
Yeah, and that's something that really comes through now in the job that you're doing,
yes.
And also as a nurse. And so you are now a little Miss Weightlifter, and you've even competed.
Yes.
So can you talk through how all that happened and how the transitions and changes?
So the weightlifting and the decision to go on stage was, I remember being in a change room this goes back to when I was about 16, and I remember being in a change room and looking at myself, and I couldn't fit into a size 18, and I remember looking at myself and thinking, this can't be it, this isn't me, something has to change. And I always had a vision of myself of not being that person anymore. After having my daughter, who's now 16, I thought I have to be a person she looks up to, not necessarily to look skinny or look a certain way, but to teach her that anything's possible if you put your mind to it. And it's a very scary process for someone that isn't confident, for someone that took a long time to believe in herself. It's a really, really scary journey, and continues to be a really scary journey.
Well, let's just contextualise this for the audience. So you do weight training. Tell us some of your stats in terms of the weights that you can do.
Okay, so the heaviest I've leg pressed is 200 kilos. That's the heaviest I've leg pressed. I'll shoulder press, the heaviest is 12.5 kilos because now I have lots of niggles and whatnot, but I work around that with my trainer. I can do a leg extension of 20 kilos on each leg, depending on the way my knee's holding up on the day. And the heaviest I've deadlifted, I think, was 110 kilos. And that's over a duration of like 4 or 5 years of serious training. Not that I haven't lifted that in the last 2 weeks or anything, they're just the biggest numbers that I've lifted.
And also in terms of like the stats with your weight trainer, looks at your body fat composition and stuff like that. So what's that about?
So body composition, so the lowest, so when I've been on stage, I think last body fat percentage was, I believe it was 7 or 9%. And that's a big difference. 7 and 9% is a big difference. So let's just say 8, which isn't healthy. So when I come off stage, I go on a different training regime to put on the weight correctly. And to put it in terms of size, maybe a size 6. And then I'll go up to a comfortable size 10, which is what I am now. And yeah, and in terms of kilos, so now I'm sitting at the heaviest I've ever been, to be honest, which is 68 kilos. The heaviest I've ever been weight training is 68 kilos. But when I hit stage, I'm about 55, 60 kilos.
And all of it is muscle.
All of that is pure muscle stage.
Yeah. And
it's
just,
pure muscle.
can you contextualise like the food and the eating and all of the things that go into this? Because you're now at this point where you have this amazing body that is beautifully sculpted and, you know, just stunning, and a booty that I just love staring at, like always, right? And so you've got this amazing body, and so, but one of the things that happens is you have people looking at you and going, oh my God, and how do I do that? And they don't really understand the discipline and the work that's going into it. So can you talk us through like your eating regime, your training regime, all of these things that, you know, to be where you are at and to do what you are doing, what does it take?
It takes being very selfish with your time. The easiest part of getting or being fit and healthy and getting on stage and all of it is being selfish and making time. The hardest part of it all is not the eating. The hardest part is the hardest part is the preparation. The easy part is training. So, and also the hardest part is that selfishness of going or saying to yourself, no, I'm going to stop. So I remember, I'll give an example. I remember we were moving house from House in Sunshine, and we were packing boxes, and I had boxes all around me, and this was in my very first stages. And I'm like, no, I've got to train, so I had to work on losing my body fat before working on my muscle. So, and I remember with all these boxes around me, we were moving house, I'm like, oh no, I said I was going to leave the house at 2 o'clock to go and do my training, and I just left everything. My husband was home, and I said, oh, I've got to go. Where are you going? I said, oh, I've got to go train. 2 o'clock, I told you I was going to train. And that is the hardest part, to just drop everything and to stick to your regime and to stay true to yourself. And the shopping, like, it's expensive. It gets really expensive because I'm shopping for my own nutrition, and then plus for my family as well, and that it can get really, really expensive. And also food preparation. Like, you've got to take over the fridge.
Yeah, because you do your food prep, you do all of your meals.
Correct.
For a few days at a time.
Correct.
Protein every day, weighing.
So we'll buy, because my husband does it now also, so we'll buy 2 or 3 kilos of our protein at a time, and then get it home, put it in freezer bags, weigh it, put it in the freezer bags, and then, you know, and it's all weighing. It's just all weighing. But now I I can do like 3 days of food prep in 2 hours.
Because it's something that you've been doing for so
And
many
it's
years.
it's second nature, and I can look at an amount of food and go, yeah, that'll be about right, and I can chuck it all in.
So one of the things that I really sort of wanted to discuss with you, because you are a person who can really get inside this, is that transformation from that big, girl with low self-esteem, putting yourself first now, putting your needs first, and this is your salvation also, because you've got, as most of us, a lot of pressure, a lot of responsibilities. So how does that transition happen? Because, like I went through the opposite, where I was like the skinny mini, and now I am, a size 16, and I'm fine. I'm not willing to do the work that you do in order to, do the body, but I do weight training and try and do a little bit with the diet and stuff. And for me, it's been a big transformation going from easy size 8s, where I never had to do anything, to suddenly whatever I eat sticks to the hips and the thighs and the stomach, and going, oh. And I still sometimes catch myself in the mirror where I'm like, oh, I'm that round. I still have that image in my head of me from 18 years old.
Yep.
And for you, it's the opposite.
Well, I still have that image of the 100 kilo teenage girl. And people go, oh, you're such a good body, this, that, and you look so fit. And sometimes I do look in the mirror and go, oh, wow, I do look quite fit. But as people close to me know, I don't dress. I don't dress to show off my body. I'm not used to attention, and I don't love myself or anything. I'm very proud of how far I've come. I'm not going to deny that, because it's bloody hard work. But I don't like to draw attention to myself either. So I still do sometimes feel like that 100 kilo girl that still has to remind herself to head up. Stand with your head up or walk with your head up, because I will still sometimes catch myself walking with my head down, and I correct my 16-year-old daughter on popping your head up, which is really hard to do.
And have there been, because we've had these conversations about reactions where sometimes people are kind of threatened, or they sort of have these conversations where they're looking at you and they're somehow judging themselves against you in a negative way. How has that been?
Confronting for me, because I've never been, I don't know, I'll put this right, but I've never been a person to, we all judge one way or another, right? We're only here.
Hey, it's my hobby. It's my hobby.
And, I'm not going to deny that I do that. Again, because we're only human. But I've never been one to take a compliment well. So when someone reacts to me, I'm like, what for? Like, it's my hard work. And sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. And I think sometimes I've become oblivious to it, but there have been a couple of times where I give off a vibe as well. So I give off a vibe where I don't want attention, so I can just make a certain face where people kind of stay away from me, which I think I do quite well, which sometimes doesn't do very well for myself. But there have been a few times where I've been confronted with the perception of what people think of me.
Yes, where they're seeing this outer, beautiful, sculpted body, and they're reacting to you on that superficial level, and you're like still the 100 kilo big girl, and we've had these conversations where you're like perplexed and bewildered, and now you've sort of started avoiding some of that, where you've been dressing to not draw so much attention to yourself.
And you know, sometimes my husband, like, he'll say to me, oh, why don't you wear that dress because you look so nice, or you can, you know, this is defined or that's defined, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not going to wear that. You know, remember the first time I wore a bikini, because Anna was a bikini girl, I would wear a bikini with a big t-shirt over it.
Yeah.
The first time I wore a bikini was when I went on stage.
It was a red bikini, and she looks amazing.
Without even thinking that it was the first time. Like, I remember being on the side of the stage, almost in tears, thinking, oh my gosh, I can't do this. And I something choked up in my throat and I had to swallow it down. And then I saw this of my daughter with her little sign going, Mummy, you can do it. I'm like, oh God, I've got to get up there. I've got to get up there. And I was like a deer in headlights. I actually didn't enjoy being up on stage, but I went back and did it another 2 times. And it was just to prove to myself, like, it was, I can do this, I'm going to do this again.
And this is something that you did do in your 40s. This is not
Correct.
something that you did like in 20s or 30s. And this was your 40s.
Correct.
And so, you know, talk me through why you wouldn't be able to have done it in your 20s or 30s. Why in your 40s you could do it?
I think I had more to prove in my 40s. Again, coming back to my daughter, to prove to her, like, I now say to her, if she feels as though she can't do anything, I don't say, look at what Mummy did, I got up on stage. It's just that, you know, getting up on stage though is a process. It's the diet, it's the training twice a day sometimes. It's following routine, it's saying no to people, it's going out to people's houses, which I think people loved about me, like, I'll bring my own food. No,
yes.
I'll bring my own food.
Yeah, won't eat anything at anyone's house.
Yeah.
Don't bother offering. She's got her little containers.
Yeah.
Sorted.
But, you know, coming back to what you said about being confronted with people, like that's probably a time where I had to explain myself to people. So I'd go to people's houses, like, just have a little bit won't hurt, just have a little bit. I'm like, no, it's fine. And then I realised that that's them projecting, because I think a lot of people didn't think that I could do it, which was more reason for me to do it.
Yeah, well, even I remember when you were talking about after you lost your weight, because we had this thing that we were like, you're big boned.
Big bone. I grew up being told, don't think you're big bone. I remember saying to my uncle once, he said, oh, you're just big bone. And am I allowed to swear? No.
Try not to.
No, and I'm like, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm just, you know, F-bomb fat. And then he kind of put his head down.
Yeah.
And I'll never ever forget that day. And I'm not big boned.
You are not big boned. You're
I'm
actually
not big
delicate boned. You
Correct.
take after your mother. You've got that delicate Scottish, you know, bone structure.
Yeah.
And so I remember you saying, oh, it was actually, I was eating more.
I eat so much.
Yeah.
I love it. And I think that works in my favour through my transitions, my different transitions, is that I love to eat. Like, I'll eat. So I thought, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to eat much. And of course, when it comes to like the last week or two, depending on how much fat I have to lose, that my calories are cut back. I go into a calorie deficit. But now I'm on maintenance, I eat like 4 meals a day.
But also you make your own sweets. You used to make your own chocolate.
I did make my own chocolate.
You know, like this is all, you know, like work that went into.
And again, expensive. It you know, with the training, and so even now with training, it's expensive. But in the lead up to competitions, it's the food, the training, the tanning, the makeup, the bikini, the shoes, the posing practice, where I went for posing, she was absolutely beautiful, but it's just not me. So going through this process was going against everything that I'm not, which was, and I'm going back on stage next year to celebrate being 50.
Yes.
So even the thought of going back on stage next year is still petrifying for me. I'll have to start that process, so just say it's in October, November, end of season. I'll have to start maybe, I don't know, in July, because now my body's conditioned to where if I said to my trainer, I want to cut in 3 months, no worries. I can have my abs in 3 months. I don't have abs now, but yeah, back to the process going against everything that I am, like every ounce of what I'm not, which makes it really hard, challenging and rewarding at the same time.
So what's the transformation like? How do you feel in yourself now, having gone through this and having learnt to put yourself first?
So training has taught me that it's not just about training. So I'm stronger mentally than I ever have been, I think. You know, life is life. We get thrown curveballs. I've been thrown a few hard curveballs the last few months, as Emma very well knows. But you know, I continue to train because it's my space. It's where I think. And when I train, I look at myself and it's almost like looking at another person, where training is my therapy. And that's what it's become. So.
And also, like, one of the things that we've had conversations about you being in the gym with these big bros and they try and steal your weights and stuff.
Not going to happen. Not going to happen, or I'll just get to a machine or something like that, or my little bench space, and then I'll get a tap on the shoulder after I've wiped down everything. They may think I'm finishing, but I've got my bag there. And they go, have you finished? No, I'm just getting started.
Yeah. So there's like certain strengths that you project, and like when we were talking earlier, like it's all about body image, and it's not about how we look. It's about being healthy, but it's also about what we tell our daughters. And so, you know, what's the message that you're wanting to give to your daughter and to all women out there?
Just to not be afraid of becoming the person that you truly want to be. Just don't be afraid of it. You're going to get people that don't like it, but if you're surrounded by people that truly love you and accept you, which I'm extremely blessed with, my circle is very small for good reason. Just don't be afraid. Just, you know, take that big step. Don't be scared. If you fail, well, there's no such thing as failing. If it didn't work out this time, give it a rest, go back next time. When I competed, like everything comes back to competing. But when I stepped on stage 3 times, I didn't place 3 times. And it's just about getting up there, going through the process, looking at it like it's a damn expensive process, and I keep saying that, but it truly is. And, you know, the example, my last bikini was $600 just for the bikini.
Yeah.
And then everything else on top of that. So it's a good, say, $3,000. And I felt guilty about spending that money. I pulled out. I remember pulling out of one the night before. The night before, I remember pulling out, and I made the excuse of, I don't want to step on stage because I know how much it's going to cost the next day. But I'd already done the hard work and paid for the bikini and paid for everything. It was just an excuse. Don't make excuses like it's, because you look back and go, shoulda, coulda, but didn't.
Yeah, and like also that thing of, you know, at this point in our lives, taking those risks, and it's more about just trying, and it doesn't matter what the result is. It's just the actual experience.
Yeah.
And you know, that freedom of then trying for bigger things, and then, you know, and it is such a struggle as a woman, especially, you know, where we spend all our lives sort of thinking about other people. And you more than me, for example. One of the conversations we have is that I'm selfish, she is selfless. If we could give each other a little bit of each, we would make the perfect person.
So true.
And
but we're perfect together. So
we're perfect together. Yes, we're actually soulmates. We complement each other perfectly. Our husbands are just fellas we live with. You know, witnesses to our lives. But yeah, there is that strength of kind of, you would rather almost regret trying something even if it didn't work out than regret not even.
Yeah.
You know?
But I've got the confidence more so now, even in perimenopause, peri I call it. In my perimenopause journey, I'm going to say, I'm really at that stage where, or at that moment in my life now where, you know, Amma has yearned for me to be, I'm going to say, where I just don't, it's not that I don't care, I still do care deeply, but recognising that, you know, it is about me and I can say no and I will say no, and I have said no, which is, for anyone that knows me again, knows how hard that is. And there's nothing wrong with saying no. Say yes to those that love you and care for you, and, you know, I've got everyone in my life, if I called them and I was on the other side of the world, I know that they'd be there in a heartbeat, and vice versa. And they're the only people I need in my life. But in perimenopause, I don't know what it is, I love it.
I know.
Honestly love it.
The freedom that it gives you, where you just shed things so much easier.
But still so hard because, you know, I know for me, speaking personally, I found this whole new freedom of saying no. Like, saying no is huge. But also, there is so much that happens in our lives that we can't change.
No.
So as much as I feel like my inner person who I'm supposed to be and held back from being for so many years is ready to break free, but, you know, there is so much else that's happening that I have to, your parents getting older and, you know, things just happen where you've got to still be a big person and carry on.
We talk about how much we hate adulting sometimes.
Yeah, adulting.
It's hard. It's really unpleasant.
Yeah, it is. It can be really.
Like, we have
Do
to
we
do
have to?
so many unpleasant things. And we just have to kind of keep going. And we're like, no, I just want to stay under the doona.
Yeah.
And
But
go
we
away.
can't.
But we can't. And so we have these conversations regularly about, adulting. Really. So unpleasant.
But, you know, this is where my training is important to me, because I can escape that in my training. I put my headphones on and, you know, my certain face and bee face, and off I go.
And that's the thing, like I always talk about, for me, writing is a necessity, like oxygen. And for me, if I have to write to be a good human being, to be a good mother, to be, when I had parents, to be a good daughter, to, you know, be a good spouse. And it's that time out, it's that feeling like myself and being and doing what I feel like I'm here for.
Correct.
And that's the same with you for training.
Absolutely. If I don't train for 2 or 3 days, my husband will say, you need to go to the gym.
Yeah.
Or my daughter will even say, have you trained, Mummy? Yeah.
And one of the things I sort of wanted to pick up was what we were talking about in terms of body image, the way that your conversations have changed and what you talk about. So you're not doing training for weight.
No.
What are you doing training for?
I'm doing training to purely survive my day-to-day life. Yeah. So, and I'm also doing training because if, you know, if I do decide to go back on stage, which will be next year, or I can just take on anything. Like training just sets a whole new mindset for me, a whole new mindset of, you know, as I've mentioned, like there's been a couple of things that have happened in my life recently where I've had to reassess. Yeah, just huge things. But training keeps me in routine. It keeps me focused. Training is where I am me. I'm working on me. And where I can lose myself and shut everything out.
And it's about that healthy body a healthy spirit. And
Correct.
it's not about the aesthetics. It's not about, because, you know, I do my little bit of training, and I was like a superstar at one point with people where I was bragging. I was like, I can do 36 push-ups. Not all in one go, mind you. 12 reps each, 3 times, you know. But, you know, and people were like, ooh, you can do that when you're Brazil. Yes, I can.
Like, I'm not going to lie, I do have fitness goals.
Yes.
I do have fitness goals. I train for the Lions now, so I train for the definition in the big area I want to work on is more definition in my glutes, which has
She does not need a better booty.
which has started, and I want more definition in my shoulders, which has started. So when I train, I never used to do this, but I've just recently started doing it. I'll look at myself and I'll go, oh wow, amazing. Whereas I never used to do that.
No, you used to avoid looking at yourself.
Correct.
You know, it was a very confronting thing for you. On the other hand, I always and still do love looking at myself. So
Not gonna lie.
yeah, it's actually been like to get me away from a mirror or to get me away from reflective surfaces. And that has been my growth. So again, if we could just a little touch, there would
Just
be.
a little.
Yeah. But at least we influence each other in that way.
do, yes.
Yeah. And like also the thing is, it doesn't matter what size you are, because I'm going to make this joke. This is a joke I can only make with her, right? I'm now the fat friend. She's now the skinny friend. There used to be reverse for, you know, when we were teenagers. But I don't care, and like I don't talk to my daughter about losing weight. I don't talk to her about, you know, how I look. I'm completely free with my body, because what I do in terms of my little bit of training, in terms of, you know, every second day going on the treadmill with a 10 kilo vest and weights on my legs, and doing my, you know, weight training that I do with my 12 kilo weights. It's just about my body. It's about maintaining the physicality of my body, of my bones, and the strength of my bones.
Yep.
And then there's things that I do that I'm using the protein shake that she uses with the creatine in it, so that, you know, for the body and maintaining the body. And so, you know, like I've got more body fat on me, and I always will, because unless I actually start caring and putting more time into it, but I'm not really bothered. And so it's about that healthy outlook, about feeling healthy,
Absolutely.
about feeling good in who you are.
Yep.
And, you know, it's not about size. And I think the other thing is a lot of women are now starting to realise, like, you know, we now know that at our age it's really important to do the weight training for our muscles and for our bones, especially in perimenopause. Like, this is where the health comes into
I'm
it.
praying that all the work I've done previously is going to benefit me through this peri journey.
Yeah, well, it has, because I'm on
Enjoy
lots
the
of
process.
medication for lots of different things.
Yeah.
You are not. Yeah. So I'm like medicated to the eyeballs in terms of, you know, blood pressure, diabetes.
I'm not laughing because it's funny, because it's not.
Yeah, and I'm also on hormone replacement therapy, and you are. Everything is perfect in terms
Almost.
of, yeah. So
Except for iron.
except for iron,
Except for
yes. And that's the joys also of perimenopause.
Correct.
No, you've got me saying peri.
But it's got to be peri.
It's going to be peri. It's that bit of spice.
Yeah, that bit of spice.
That bit of spice in life. And also it's got a bit of a bite.
It does.
Yeah.
And, you know, I love the bite that I've got now.
Yes.
I never used to have bite. I always had the bite, but in my head. So I'd have the bite in my head, having the conversations in my head. Now those bites are coming out. Not in a nasty way, as you know, because that's not my nature. But I just can't be bothered. I think I'm just a bit over it.
Well, that's
There's
the joy.
nothing wrong with that.
That's the joy, because, I mean, my problem is I've been too confrontational. So for me, finding that balance of not constantly biting. But it's also like where it's like, okay, I'll put a bit of energy there and take the pressure off and deal with it. But knowing that sometimes it's not worth it, you know, good day.
Good day.
Good day. Yeah, it really helps. So I I just wanted to see, any last words on the power of weightlifting for well-being and joy?
Power of weightlifting of well-being and joy is that just keep going. There are days, so many days, where I just cannot be bothered. It's like, really? Now my daughter says to me, Mum, now I've changed from 3 days to 5 days of training, which I promised myself I would do. Kept the promise to myself, and it's really important just to understand and to have your reason why. If your reason is to lose 20 kilos in 3 months, that's not going to happen. Make your reason realistic. Because if it's not, you will probably put the weight back on again. You will feel like a failure. And just make it realistic and make it about you. It has to be about you and no one else, and for no one else's purpose. Don't you, Rory?
Yeah, and I think that's sometimes when people get into for aesthetics and for other people looking at them, because even though you might look a certain way, it's your brain. You're still the same person inside.
Of course, and that's, it just has to be for your own right reasons. I'm still that 16-year-old person inside at times, and I'm going to be 50 next year. And it's just a constant journey that I'm on. And I thought, if I lose, I think I lost almost 60 kilos at one point when I was at my extreme lowest weight. And then I thought, how come my life hasn't changed?
Yes, that was like me. I had a nose job when I was 17. And I thought, my life, it's going to be magical and wonderful. And got out of the hospital, and I'm like, it's the same life. And you're like, but this was supposed to change everything.
It doesn't.
No.
But the journey makes you stronger. The journey is so empowering.
Yeah.
So empowering.
And I think also that thing about routines, where when you have these routines and you commit to making yourself the priority, it just kind of settles everything, because when you are struggling to achieve, if you're achieving this goal, where you've set a goal in terms of, for me, the little exercise goals that I've got, achieving those means that then I can go on to the next thing.
Correct.
And achieve that.
Correct.
And so it really is about that mental strength and finding
putting boundaries in. Putting boundaries in that other people will go, she's serious. She's serious about this. She ain't mucking around.
Yeah, because you have got a lot of people who rely on you and are used to you being very available.
Correct.
And so that's been a big transition too.
Correct.
Yeah, putting those boundaries around. Well, thank you so much for coming in and talking about your amazing transformation and about body and mind and fitness. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Amra's Armchair Anecdotes. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and follow for more insights, stories and inspiration. From my armchair to yours, remember, every story begins with a single word.